Alright, so good afternoon. So I'm making this video to explain to people who might have not been in class when I went through the Excel part of the SBA. So before that though, starting now, but I think I mentioned this already last term, but for everyone who would have been recommended to do IT, you have to walk with a flash drive to class every time now. The reason being we'll be doing a lot of programs or creating a lot of programs that is necessary for your SBA, and you're going to need to save them on a flash. I don't want you saving them on the computer because somebody might delete it or copy it or whatever. You'll also be starting working on the program part of your SBA, and you're going to need to keep saving and when you come to class you make changes and so on. So everyone in your group should have a flash drive with a copy of the SBA. So if one person lost it, everyone doesn't lose it. So starting from next week, we'll be going on to the database part of the SBA, which means you should bring your Excel part for me on Monday. If you don't have your Excel part for me, it might be a problem there with recommendation or so, because it's been way too long and some people have not finished it yet. Alright, so let's get into this. Let me go through this fairly quickly. So design a worksheet which accepts income and expenditure for each section. The sections they're speaking of, we should already know, is the business showcase section, which costs 500, cultural performance 3, food and beverages 200. So you have to open a Excel document. At the bottom, when you start, it should say sheet, right? You're just gonna rename one sheet to be income, and then once you do that, you add another sheet and rename that to be expenditures. So once you go to the income sheet, what do you want? The next part, record the payments of all participants and so on. So first you're gonna have to create each section. So business section, leave some space. The amount of space you're gonna leave is dependent on how many people you want to put. So say this is John, and you have 20 other names, you would leave that many spaces. Then you create the next section, which is cultural. These will have their own people. Food beverage section, they're gonna have their own people. Now they want to record all payments made. Right? There are two ways to pay. Again, all this information is already on top here. There's two ways to pay. Either by installments, 3 different payments with installments, or one full payment. So on the relevant column to the right here, you would take 3 slots because you're going to need 3 payments, right? You would just simply use the merge command here. Select 3 slots, merge and center, and you name this whatever you want. This should be installments. These for the people who paid installments, their money would go in here. For those who paid full payment, one-time payment, their money would go in this column here. So name 4, he paid full payment method. Name 5, he did the full payment method. The amount of money you put here is dependent on how much money the person paid for the section, which is you're going to make up. Again, it's mentioned here, if the person choose to pay by installments, they're going to have to pay interest, 10%. If they choose to pay full payment, they're going to get a discount of 10%. Right, so business showcase, the amount they're supposed to pay for the business showcase is $500. Right, so if they chose installment payments, that means they need to pay $500 plus 10%. So where's 10% of 500 is 50. So if they chose installment option, they're going to need to pay 550 total. Right, and if they paid full payment, they're going to need to pay 450 because they have a 10% discount. Right. You want to add in here, you don't have to, but you could add in here amount amount remaining. Right, this could be amount remaining, and you would this would just be how much money the person has left to pay. All right, good. So next, what else they want based on the instructions? So spreadsheet. So they want the total amount paid by each person. So the reason we want this, so installments, they need to make three separate payments. You would add up the three separate payments and have it in the total column. So 56 is the total amount this person paid so far. You can see based on where their money is, which option they chose. So this person paid by installments, so that means they're supposed to have 550 total. That's how much they're supposed to pay. They only paid 56, so they owe you quite a lot of money. So this is why I had amount paid option if you wanted to include them. Same with here. So you would just have a formula here that adds up all the values here so you could have the total. Remember, you should not have money in installments and full payment. If you have any amount in here, if the person paid by installments, you can't have anything in here, right? The person can't pay installments and pay it full. You have to pick one of these two. Do the same for each section, right? Registration must be made in US dollars. Okay, so all this money here are in US dollars. After you have your money, we want another column here where you convert the amount paid to Guyana dollars. So you would have a formula that multiplies the money by the conversion rate to Guyanese money. You should know the conversion rate. In the appropriate row, count the amount of participants in each section. So here, in appropriate row, so on top here, the letters are columns, the numbers are rows. So after the last person's name, you can make a space, and then you can count the amount of people in each section. You can just write it in, or you can use the count command. Either way. Calculate the total. C is to calculate the total payment on registration fees. So for each section, you have a row, you name it total, and this row, you are just gonna have the total of everything each person paid. So this is what name 5 paid, this is what name 4 paid, this is what John paid. You're gonna add all of that and you're gonna put it in the same row here right underneath it. You're gonna do the same for the converted, the Guyanese dollar. You're gonna do the same for the amount of people who paid with full payments and the amount of people who paid with installments. Right? For this one, you can have it merged also here. So you just have one value. But the installment one is not necessary because it's already covered in total. Okay, so D, expenses, okay, expenditure. So this is, so now we have to go over to expenditures, which we move to this column here. Sorry, to this sheet. See, this is all this is under the income sheet. Under the expenditure sheets, now we're gonna have, see what they want. They want us to have all the costs that each section had to pay. So this is, you would just do it like this, business section. Over here it could be cost. So this is the business section. So what are the costs? I listed the costs here, or some. Venue rental, marketing, staff wages, equipment rental, miscellaneous, and you can add some more costs if you think of any. So you would have the cost listed for each section. I only listed 4, but listing the rest. Put a value to it, how much you would have paid for it. Let's say you paid pay 200 under that, and you would have the total payment that you made. Just have a formula, calculate the total for everything there. You do the same for each section. Basically this for the cultural section and the food and beverage section. Calculate the total cost of each service per section, right? This is what I just said. So once you finish, you save this as participant one. Just go to file, save as, store it somewhere as participant one. All right. So I saved it in here. So how you do participant two now is you just copy participant one and just paste it and just change this name to participant two. So this is going to give you a copy of participant one, which now you're going to just make whatever changes they ask you. So modify the spreadsheet to insert a person in the first two sections. So this is the first section and this is the second section. So in these two sections, they want you to insert a participant before the last person. So this is the last person, right? They want you to insert a row above it and then put some person's name here. Insert a participant. Let's call him Patrick. First two section they said, so that's the first one. So this is the second section. This is the last person here. You do the same. You insert a row above them and you would insert somebody. Keep in mind with every person you insert, you need to fill out the information for them, to money and so on. Delete the third participant from the last section. So the last section is food and beverage. Let's say we had a bunch of participants here. The third one would be, let's call him John Tree. So the third one would be John Tree, right? They want you to delete the third participant. So you would delete this entire row with John and all John information. That's done. So insert a table at the bottom showing the total income and total expenditure. Alright, so at the bottom, you would have, at the bottom here, you have income, it's one, and expenditure, and you just have each section listed. So this is the business section, cultural section, food and beverage section. And you would have their total income there, which you would get from the information above here. So you put their total for each section, and you get the total expenditure, which you will get from here. This is where you will get the total expenditure once you finish the add-in for each section. So this is the business section total. This is the food and beverage section total will be there, and the cultural section total will be there. You put the information in here, and that's that. And you would save this, and that's participant 2. Participant 3 would be, you just copy participant 2 again and change the name to participant 3. Well, not 3, participant 3, but you get it. And you make these changes, and if you're not sure of how to do certain things like insert a chart or so on, do one Google search before you call me. Just do one Google search or try watch a tutorial. If you can't figure it out, come to me during school time in the IT room. Let's see what else. I think that's about it then.